Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pretty chilly morning out there, isn't it? We're all, I'm sure, ready for spring, and I'm looking forward to spring too, especially for bike rides. They won't be too long before we can ride our bikes out there. And when I was getting ready for this, I was thinking about, these links of love that I'll describe in a second. And a bike ride came to mind. A bike ride that was about 30 years ago when I was 15. And, I didn't have a driver's license yet, but I was old enough where I could start to ride my bike more than just like around the driveway in the neighborhood there. I could take my bike to friends' houses and places that I would want to go. And for a teenager, that sense of freedom was so incredible. It's like, wow, now I can really get moving. Now I don't have to, always ask mom and dad for a ride or something like that. And so, I took a bike ride, and I was going to my friend's house probably about 1.5 miles, almost 2 miles away. And this was on Newton Road, which is, a relatively rural road, just 2 lanes. But it's got a relatively high speed limit. I think the speed limit's 55. I think it still was then. And I would go along and, be on one side, and then when there was cars coming, I'd go to the other side. There really wasn't a sidewalk or anything like that. And, a 15-year-old, they always have really good judgment. I could tell exactly how far away the cars were and how much time I had. And one time I looked back, and I thought, oh my gosh, that car's right there. So I tried to get to the side of the road, and all of a sudden, bam, I felt it. Hit. Bike was torn out from under me, and I went flying. I heard the bike kind of crashing along, and all of a sudden I hit the pavement and was sliding. I landed like this, and I was sliding, trying to keep my head up. And at first I was just surprised, but after a little bit I thought, oh my gosh, I'm still sliding. So I slid for a good ways across the road, tore up my arms, of course, elbows and knees, right? Really bad, this part of my hand, across the gravel, into the ditch. And the car that had hit me, pulled up, and the driver got out and said, I can't believe you did this. Look, you made me hit you, and what a pain. And he gets back in the car and leaves out a sheet. And I'm thinking, hello? I'm laying in the ditch. So I'm laying there and I think, all right, I think I'm okay. No obvious pain. Try to move a little bit. I think I'm okay. I'm like, all right, I'm not too bad. I get up, and I go and look at my bike. It didn't do so well. The back wheel was bent into the shape of a D, and the spokes were kind of sticking up all over. And so I thought, you know what a teenager's first thought is, right? How do I keep mom and dad from finding out? So I'm pushing the bike. Dragging the back wheel, of course, won't turn. I'm pushing it home along the gravel on the side of the road, thinking, okay, let's see. I'm going to get home. I'm going to hide this in the back of the garage, and then I'm going to call the bike shop, and then, let's see, hoping no one's going to be home. No one's going to be home right now, right? Okay, so I'm pushing it along, and pretty soon, a police car pulls up. And the policeman comes out and he says, I heard someone got hit. I'm like, yeah. And so he says, all right, I'll take you home. So I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking, okay, good. Now I'm going to get home a little faster. This is still going to be fine. So he opens up the trunk and he puts the bike. The bike wouldn't really fit as a small trunk, so the bike's sticking out the back. And I get in the car. And we're driving back. We turn onto South Commerce Drive. And we're driving down South Commerce Drive. And I'm looking up ahead. I can see my mom driving the other way. And I thought I'm okay. She's going to see a cop car, lots of police cars around, she's just going, and now I know no one's home, so this is good. I'll be able to, take care of her. So she passes, and the brake lights come on. And I see her pull a U-turn and start following us. So I'm like, oh no, I am doomed. So pull into the driveway, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to catch it now. And she pulls in, gets out of the car. I get out of the cop car. And she runs over and just hugs me. Stop it. As a parent myself, I can imagine what that was like. She saw a police car with my bike sticking out of the back, the spokes everywhere. Didn't see anyone else in the car, you know, because I kind of hunched down a little bit. So I didn't get in trouble. But looking back on that now, I think to myself, oh my gosh, of course, how could I have thought that it wasn't going to go like that? Now, being a parent myself, I can imagine that. I can feel that powerful love. And I can see that that scene really couldn't have gone any other way. It's not like I was going to get in trouble. It's not like she was going to be, you know, more concerned about the bike, which is what I thought was going to happen. No. And since I've gotten older, I've also, a lot of us, developed the ability to think more than just today. Think more into the past, more into the future. To have what I call deep time eyes. And I think about that scene with deep time eyes, and I think, hold on a second. We all get older. We all have a full lifespan. And that means that my mom, too, was someone's little girl at one point. She, too, was the target of that kind of love from a parent. The focus of that kind of love from a parent. And then I think, then it's not just her or her parents. I of course knew, well, I knew one of her parents. My grandfather died before I was born. But they had parents too. And I know parents aren't all perfect. Some parents are bad parents, for real. But for all of us, for all humans, somebody loved us as kids. Somebody helped us as kids. And that's an important part of being able to make it to adulthood. So I think of that link of love with my mom. And I think of that link of love for her parents. And I realize that we're not just talking about one or two, because of course we each have 2 parents and 4 grandparents and 8 great-grandparents, 16, 32. If you think about the math, you realize how fast those numbers go up. They go up so fast that within a few hundred years, you're talking about thousands of people. If you look back a few centuries before that, then you've got 500 million people, if you're talking about maybe in the year 1300, 1400 around in Europe. 500 million people at a time when the whole population of Europe was only about 100 million people. Obviously, we're double counting people. We're double counting people because they're our ancestors through more than one line. And what that means is that we don't really have a family tree anymore. We're not talking about a family tree. We're talking about a bush maybe. Or even farther back when you're talking about millions of interconnections where you're descended from nearly everyone who's alive back then. You had kids. You're talking about a more of a network. I'm trying to figure out why this isn't showing. I'm sorry. So we're talking about a whole network of people. And that means that each of us is descended from almost everyone who had kids back then. And if you go back before that, it means that your ancestors include Vikings, Crusaders, popes, peasants, and kings. It means that your ancestors built Stonehenge, Mohenjo-Daro, the pyramids, and anything else we see from back then. Interestingly, scientists have looked at this and they modeled it, and they've realized that you don't even have to go much farther back behind that, just a few thousand years. And each of us is descended from almost all the humans alive on Earth at that time. All the humans that had kids that survived. So this is part of the reason why this understanding of ancestry is so important to me. What it means is that all of us in this room, across this nation, in different countries, are all related. As my Native American ancestors would say, we're all one family. And that means that I'm standing up here, and if I looked at any one of you, you might be my 58th cousin once removed, or something like that. I don't know the exact number, and it would be really interesting to see how much that varies in this congregation. I would bet there's someone closer than about 6th cousin, because we're in the United States and we've all got common ancestry. And what that does, in my mind, is it links us. It links us together, and it gives me a real-world basis, a reminder of our Unitarian first principle. The realization that all of us are connected. And it makes me wonder, with that realization, how could anyone hate somebody? To hate somebody is something that just doesn't seem to fit at all with that realization. It doesn't fit at all because I know that when I got out of that police car, my mom felt incredible love. And that kind of a link of love connects every one of us. Because, of course, I can go to my mom, who can go to her mom, who can go to her dad or mom or anything all the way back. And then from that common ancestor, maybe a common ancestor with you, I can take more links of love down to the present day, to each of us. We're each connected by a chain of love. And not just one, but hundreds. I think about those strands of love. If we could put all those links together, they would make a whole network that would trace out human migration. It would trace out our human migrations all the way back across the different continents. Scientists look at this and say, this is where people moved, and that's true. But for someone who sees a spiritual connection here, these are the actual ropes that are put together of these links of love. All the way back to Africa, where we started. So I think about what this does. It widens, at least for me, our circles of care and compassion to include everybody over thousands of years. But wait, we know that these people in Africa also had parents, ancestors. As we saw with Grandmother Human, that before that was Grandmother Abe. And that means that this connects us to people before humans too. I look at how it connects us to the whole web of life in one big family tree. Just as we talked about with our own ancestors, where we can go back to the common ancestor for any of us, and then come forward, we can do the same thing with anything alive on Earth today. That means it's not just humans anymore. And these ancestors, if we look back, we realize that that connects us to other primates in Africa. But what about before that? It turns out our ancestors have been in many different places. If we go before that, somewhere in Europe, and even in other places. It's too complex a history to go through in detail. But if we think about how the continents moved, if we look back into the Cretaceous, say, or before that, then our ancestors were on all of these continents. Or all the way back to Pangaea, when all the continents were joined and our ancestors were spread far and wide. We are one strand in that huge web of life. And because I realized it wasn't just humans, I realized that this gave me a real-world basis a reflection of reality on our Unitarian Universalist seventh principle. It's not just some cute saying that we're part of this strand in the web of life, but it's actual reality. So for any living thing, brother pine or sister turtle, every creature any of us will ever see, we have this chain of links of love through the mammals, and before that, maybe not conscious love, but at least links of life, connecting us to this whole web of life on Earth. Now, if everyone saw this, would we really be opposed by some people when we talk about creating a just, peaceful, and sustainable world for future generations? We'd be talking about our own family. We are talking about our own family, and they would understand that. It would change this idea of sustainability from something that some people oppose and is controversial to a moral imperative that everyone sees as obvious. Now, of course, you don't have to, and no one has to, put this kind of meaning on these scientific facts. Some people might look at this and say, okay. That's, of course, up to each of us to decide what meaning we're going to put on scientific facts. We are, of course, entitled to our own meanings, our own opinions. But we're not entitled to our own facts. And this is a reality that, at least for me, brings a sense of coherency and purpose to Unitarian Universalism and to my spirituality. And I've seen ideas like this, grounded this way, excite our youth, giving our next generation the foundation, meaning, purpose, and excitement to move into the future to make a better world for everyone. More so, I think, than just learning about other religions. For me, these links of parental love through the generations enmesh me with all my sisters and brothers and compel me to work for a sustainable future. So if they do for you too.
So now, I invite you, if you'd like, to join me on a guided meditation. Relax in your chair, sit comfortably. If you want to, close your eyes or leave them open. You find now that you're aware of your breathing. Breathing in, breathing out. Pay less attention to the room around you. Turn inwards. And now, in your mind, picture your parents or someone who helped raise you. Someone who helped love you. And remembering my experience with my mom, thinking that before that, somebody loved them. And someone loved that person too. Back over links of love. Looking far back, picture a loving face of one of those people and what they would say to you. Listen now to the love from that distant ancestor. let their face begin to fade. You see the links of love spreading from them to dozens, then millions of people moving towards their future, moving towards today. Take some time to feel the love over and over at so many of those links, reaching around us to today, to so many people around us that we see every day. I'll give that about 30 seconds. So much love, over and over. Now begin to return. See those links connecting to people in your life. Can you agree to, in the next few days, when someone annoys you or does something that you don't think helps, can you bring this experience to mind? Can you remember the links of love connecting you to that person? Can you summon that love to respond in a healthy way? Love for them, love for you, love for everyone. Now begin to return. You begin to become more aware of the room around us. Your eyes start to open. And here we are, back at our fellowship. Thank you.
For me, I find that if I think about this in this way, if I imagine those links connecting us, it can make a difference in my life. It might in yours. In the next few days, when someone perhaps annoys you, disagrees with you, or you think, how could they think that? Maybe remembering these links of love might help. To respond in love, in a way that is loving towards them, while still being loving towards you, in a way that helps move us towards a healthy future, respecting everyone. That might be firm, but it's also loving. With love for both you and them, and everyone in the future. If so, then I'll be glad. Thank you, and blessed be.